Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Rachel.
And we have these two beautiful ladies with us today. We have Tammy and Mahogany. They are part of our hospice company. They're a couple of our CNAs. We invited another one and she didn't show up. So maybe she has to do everything by herself.
Yeah, she ghosted us.
And as you see, we're getting ready for the solar eclipse on April the 8th.
It's coming.
And if you go to our Facebook, it kind of gives you a timeline of how it will be, what time and everything. So you can be better prepared. But make sure you wear your glasses. And I'm telling you, they're blackout. You cannot see anything. So we're going to take these off. We just wanted to show you we're prepared for the solar eclipse coming up. How exciting is that? It only happens, I think the last one was in 2017.
I did see.
So, where you can actually visually see it from your area. So we're very fortunate this year, I guess. It's going to be in this area, and apparently we're going to have millions of extra people in our area just to be able to see the solar eclipse. So pick your spot before anybody else gets it. Hopefully we're going to work on trying to get something downtown and invite some of our friends to come down and watch it with us.
Yeah, it's supposed to be dark for like a minute.
A minute, so many seconds, yeah.
And I think that's what makes it special is it happens, but it's only in certain areas that it actually, like it's the entire thing and it gets dark. So
I did read that just watch your animals because they will react kind of different, strangely.
Wow.
I didn't know it affected them. I mean, it's going to be hard to tell with Sooner because he's crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he'll be normal for that minute and so many seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that idea. But again, we're so glad to have you ladies with us. And you're both CNAs with us. So tell us, what got you into being a CNA?
First and foremost, I feel like it was my mom. She's a nurse, and she works with the mentally challenged from whenever I was small, and she would always bring me to the events that they had there, and I just really enjoyed like being able to help her out and seeing her help people, and so it's just kind of something that stuck with me.
To me, it's a calling.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just, I want to be a CNA today.
Yeah.
How about you, Miss Tammy?
It's definitely a calling. To me, it's just like a ministry. I have my older sister that's deceased. She got me into the late 80s into the early 90s, and she had told me, why don't you try being a CNA? I'm like, okay. Well, she's gone now, and I've now been doing it 29 years, a long time, and it's a passion because I look at it, like the people are my father, my mother, my granny, or my papa, and I love what I do, and I just give 100 at it. I had two passions in life. I went to school for hair, but I dropped out. But I did this for the CNA, and it's what I love to do, and it's stuck.
Well, there's something else about you that's very distinctive. Yes. I heard you have a beautiful voice.
I do okay.
You do okay. You want to belt us out something that, not the whole song, but just give us a little taste of your talents.
Okay.
I put her on the spot.
Can I play some music?
Yeah.
We can play some
Just a little bit.
Well, while she's getting her music propped up, I'm going to Miss Mahogany. And what's your talents? You just look gorgeous. That's your talent, right? Look at this hair. I'm so envious. I want to do it, but I'm scared.
I don't really know. I feel like I just have that little touch that I'm able to just like transform into the best caregiver. And I feel like that's what I am. That was like my calling. Like I get really attached to these patients. And I really don't even consider them patients anymore. These are my family members.
Awesome.
And so even outside of work, I call and check on them. I go see them. We do like little lunch and stuff like that. So I think that's just my thing. And then I'm getting ready for the RN program.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's amazing. I know we'll miss you as a CNA, but we'd love to have, transition to an RN. That'd be awesome. Just have to find your replacement that are just like you. Okay. So, Miss Tammy, do you have it geared up?
I do.
Here we go.
I'm going to do a little bit of the goodness of God. Hold my little ear over here. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand.
Sing it.
From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, Oh, I will sing
Oh, wow.
of the goodness of God.
Amen.
In all my life you have been faithful. In all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Woo! That is awesome.
Yeah,
You got this one down here tearing up. I'm over going, let's praise. Let's get it. Let's go. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Yes, yes. Now, if that doesn't just make your heart full, I had goosebumps. I was like, oh my God. And, of course, I think I sound like that when I sing, but I'm pretty sure I don't. Because the dogs run. But, that is amazing. Do you sing? Okay, well.
Yeah, in the shower.
Me too. Me too. And I think I sound fantastic.
Yeah.
But girl, you got the voice.
That is a gift. That is for sure
And I
a gift.
share with my patients. I
imagine.
sing with them. They different ones I go to. They're like, well, just the other day, Rachel told me you sing. Not you, though, Rachel. She told you
I'm
sing,
the
but
first
it's
to
different
tell, too.
ones, and I've sing, you know, and it's not a happy moment, but I've even been put on some obituary in the past. You know, the patient's family and stuff, but that's a calling to.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and reserve you when I pass away. You
Oh.
say mine. And I love
all of us.
I love Ave Maria. Go ahead and start practicing that in Amazing Grace. So I've already put that on the schedule. I don't know when it'll be, but like to plan ahead. So tell me some hard times when it comes to being a CNA. Not, I'm just saying how it affects you when, especially when somebody passes or you
Yeah.
get attached.
I think that's the hardest thing for me is them passing away. I feel like I get overly attached sometimes to my patients. I have patients from like about 6 years ago when I first started that are still here, thank God, and I still go and see them, and they are at other facilities. But it's just something. You never are prepared. You're never prepared for something like that. And that's even with family. So just imagine getting attached to somebody and then having to see them go. And I feel like once you start taking care of somebody, I feel like a lot of us are there more than like even the nurses and the family
100%.
members sometimes. And so we get really close to them and they get really close to us. And so it's just kind of like losing a family member, losing a friend and stuff. So I think that's the hardest thing for me, honestly.
You had to kind of put that little bit of a wall up, kind of, a stoic. Is that the word I'm looking for? A stoic. I would agree with you 100%. I always say, and I've worked for another hospice, and I've always said the CNAs are the backbone. They are the backbone of the company. Without you guys,
in all healthcare, in all healthcare.
100%. So, Miss Tammy.
It's about the same as she said, you get so attached and they become like, your second family. And you just, you love them. And like she said, I call them and check on them. Even my last job I left this time, I was with them for almost 5 years. And still today, even when I was telling them I was going to leave or whatever, it was so sad. I had some that even cried or whatever, but that is hard right there. And then when you lose them, as God is my witness, I pray for my patients daily.
Amen.
I pray for them. I pray for their families because they are my family. And sometimes our faces, the AIDS are the last one that those patients they see. And I just give 100 with them all the time.
Yes.
I just have an integrity about what I do. I'm going
I
to give
see that.
100. I don't need no one standing over me to do a good job. I'm going to do it because my Father in heaven sits high and looks low. He sees
He's going to be the
everything.
judge for you.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But I give 100. It's just my passion, and that is hard when you
awesome.
lose them.
Yeah.
It breaks your heart. When I heard some that's been putting on, actively dying, and I be like, Lord, whatever your will is going to be, let it be. But Father God, let they transition and just be easy for them, that they don't suffer.
Amen.
So Miss Tammy, not to get it on a hard subject, but you have had a hospice experience outside of just what you do.
Yes.
How was being just the family member and not being the actual caregiver? How was that for you?
It was hard, but I could deal with it a lot. Actually, it's two sisters. one was on one service, then we left the other job. But it's, and then my family, they relied on, they came to me, Tammy, what's this and that or whatever, you work with it, can you tell us whatever? But I did pretty good. I did pretty good, with it, because I knew, what they was going to even do in their last days or whatever, I was telling them, but I was prepared for it because I've been doing it so long, and I was prepared. It was hard, when you're looking at them, like, man, this is your family. It was really hard, but God gave me the strength.
And approaching the conversation yourself with your family
Yes.
is a lot of times much harder than
Yes.
it would be with anybody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes, because they would call me, especially with my sister that's been going now like a little over a year, and they would call me, her kids, my nieces or whatever, and they would ask me, Tammy, what does this mean? She's not doing this and that or whatever, what I could help them and let them know,
This is just part of the
it's
transition.
part of the transition, yes.
But that is hard being a family member and being in this industry, because you want to be the family member, but a lot of people rely on you because you see it,
Yes.
especially when it's getting closer to the end and you do know the signs.
Yes, and I was right there at their beds, and my last one that they passed. I just got right behind her. I knew what was going on. Then the sister before that, when she was actually going, I got behind her, had her in my arms, right there, and just watched her take her last breath.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I know it's difficult, but what an amazing journey that you can actually have with your loved one
yes. And that is my
and
favorite
rejoice
part.
in it.
When I sit down to talk with somebody, you really got me.
But
it's
bring a
just
box
that,
of Kleenex for you.
yeah. If you're able to give your loved one that, and you have that, a lot of people, it's hard to say it when you sit down with somebody about hospice because they're hearing bad news, but at the same time, it's a blessing for the patient and the family because you are getting that time to say goodbye.
Yes.
Where people,
It's coming.
are here 1 minute and gone the next, but you get to pick how that looks for your loved one and yourself. So, do you want that to look like exactly like you just said, being there, surrounding the person, your loved one, instead of in a hospital room or in an ambulance ride with somebody following behind them. So that's the part of the program that just sets it apart to me because that's a time that, that's your last moments with somebody.
I think that's what I love about this job, honestly, about the position, is because it is a hard time, and I feel like the love that I have to give, I feel like this is the perfect position for me because I'm able to light somebody up in a time of need, and that's a hard time, and it's really hard to be happy during a situation that's going on like this. And I feel like when my grandmother passed away, she was on hospice because she had breast cancer, and the lady that we had kind of just helped me to be more of a great person toward other people because of how she treated my grandmother.
That's
and honestly, I feel like like we said earlier, the caregiver is there, and that helps that person to go through this situation. And so, like she said earlier, we give our 100% on each patient every single day.
Yes, and it's like my sister, they both of them that passed. They both talked to me because they know I've been in it or whatever, and they said, and I had to really talk to them because they, of course, when you hear hospice, it's dying.
It's like, oh Lord.
And I told them, and my sister that passed, and I, talked to her and I told her, I said, they there. I mean, I said, it's a good thing to have. They're there. You're going to have nurses there for you around the clock. They are just going to be there, just make it just a much more.
Take some of the burden off of you so you can enjoy your quality time.
Yes, and that's what I told her, and I talked to her, I said, it's not a bad thing, but we knew that, they had already said, was nothing else can be done. I said, but let them come, let them help you. And she was a very private person. She didn't want no one doing the bathing, but the nurses was there, with her medication, just helping her being there, and they was really great with her. I had to talk to her about it, to accept it.
It's hard. It is a hard conversation to have with a loved one, but it's amazing when they actually accept it. With my mother-in-law, that was a hard sell. her response to everything, I'll think about it. That was a no. I'll think about it. I'm like, well, that's a no. But finally, you know, and then after she got on it, she's like, let me call my friends, get them on it. I'm like, whoa. We gotta make sure.
And I mean, and both of them, I mean, my God, both of them talked to me, and you're gonna sing at our funeral. You know, and they were just.
So, I mean, I know I don't think, well, they wouldn't want me to sing at the funeral, first of all, I mean, you know, but I don't know that I can get up there and do that.
I did.
But God, that's amazing.
My oldest sister, the one that got me into doing the CNA, she asked me to sing. I sung at hers, and I mean, God just gave me strength, and I just sung over that whole church.
What a rejoicing moment.
And then the one that just passed, been gone now year over year. It's the same thing. Because I would go over there and sit by her. I would go to work, go over there and get right by her bed. We'll be listening to our gospels, looking at football, the judges or whatever, you know, and we're just right there. And you know, she told me, I want you to sing my funeral. Then, you know, she told me I picked my dress out, and I done did this and did that or whatever. She said, it's going to be what it's going to be. You know, she said, I prayed to be healed, but it's going to be God's will. And I said, that's right. But I said, no matter what, we are here with you to the end.
Amen. Amen. Well, we talked about funerals this morning.
So I got the death deck, which is it's a game, but it was really designed to help people talk about death,
open up conversation,
and open up conversations. And we were just going through.
She was
cards,
reading them to me, and I'm like,
looking at it, because it really does cover a lot of things, you know, and it's stuff that nobody wants to have the conversation about ahead of time. Yeah. I mean, it covered, you know, like if you're unable to make your decisions, what do you think your family would do? You know, because we all can make assumptions.
Until it actually happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I give my husband a hard time because of my dogs. Like, I have this little teeny tiny chihuahua that she's like my sidekick. So I have never been attached really to a dog until I got her, and I didn't ask for her, didn't want her. Somebody brought her to me because they didn't think she was gonna live. So I ended up nursing this little tiny chihuahua, and now she helps me like run the house. But she is not my husband's favorite. And every time I've had to have like a medical procedure or something, I have to text my mom and sister and say, if something happens to me, I know he's gonna take care of the kids, but y'all gotta make sure he takes care of my dog.
Find a place for me now.
Yes.
Like, do not let him be mean to my dog. So that's always like a running joke, but even being young and healthy, anytime I try to approach the conversation with my husband or even my kids about what I would want, everybody dismisses it. So
don't talk like that.
Yeah,
but we have to have
I mention
that
it to my kids,
conversation.
and they'll say, "Oh, nobody want to hear that. Don't get on that, Mama." But I'm not going to be her favorite. We're not. None of us are. You know.
None of us are going to get out of this world alive. Let's just put it out there.
Yes.
And if you figure it out, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who wants to know, but I'm good.
Yeah. So, but what y'all do is, you know, the number one question that people always ask me is, how do you do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just knowing that it's hard and being tearful is, yes, it is hard, but it's an honor. And that's the easiest way to explain it to people is, you know, it's a hard situation, and yes, we get attached, but it's an honor to be able to be with somebody at that stage in their life. You know, we do so much celebrating and preparing for babies when they're coming into the world, and we cry and we're sad when people are leaving, but you know, for like people that are believers and know where they're going, you know, I love it when they call it celebrations of life, because it, you know, it's a huge celebration. But to be able to be with somebody in their last moments, there's not a higher honor than that, to be able to be with people. So,
but you know, the thing is, funerals are for the living, they're not for the dead.
Mm-hmm.
The dead have moved on, they're where they're supposed to be, and they're rejoicing or answering questions, if you know, whatever the case may be. But the funerals are for the living. So, you know, you put it in that perspective. That's what I always say. You know, if you want your funeral planned a certain way, you better plan it beforehand, because you know what, willy-nilly's going to have it done. So the only thing I've asked my husband is that I want to do a video, not while I'm dying, but a video of me just going, you know, push the button. He goes, well, hello there, but you didn't think you'd see me today.
Yeah, right.
Let's have a party.
Yeah.
Because I'm rejoicing. I want you to rejoice with me.
That was even one of the things that we flip through the deck today. Like it really did cover a whole lot. You know, people even don't talk about what do they want to be buried, do they want a cremation, what do they want, you know, and there's education behind that, you know, that's all part of what hospice does is help people with that. So it's, you know, that those are conversations people just don't like to have. Period.
No, especially, you know, I'm in that middle generation. You know, I'm probably the oldest one sitting at this table, which is okay. But I know my parents were very private, and when my father was on hospice, it was a hard conversation to have with him about finances, about what do we do with this, you know, because I didn't want to disrespect him. I wanted him, I want to honor his wishes, and you know, when somebody goes on hospice, it's an emotional journey for them as well, and then to have to sit down and talk about. What do you want? I mean, tell me.
So I always think about, I was a granny's girl. Like I loved my great grandma, so I would hang out with her anytime I could. But I would be in her closet, and she always had this pink dress hanging in her closet. And she passed away when I was 25. So this was when I was a little girl, you know, probably 8 or 9. And I would always point out this pink dress, and that was a big deal. Easter and all those things, like we were in church all the time, but you know, Easter it was all out. You know, every little girl had her hat and her you know dress and her socks and
get dressed up for Easter Sunday.
Yes, and we would a lot of times we would spend Easter in Sulphur Springs, where my great aunt lived, and they attended a church that was just right down from her house, so everybody walked. So, you know, those big dresses were a big deal. I never saw her wear this pink dress. It was always hanging in her closet, and so every time we would ask her about it, she was like, I'm going to be buried in that dress. And she was buried in that dress, but even in that long amount of time, that dress hung in her closet, and she knew what she wanted. So people just don't talk like that anymore. It's like it's a taboo thing, but she just made it like it was.
So I need to pick out my outfit.
An ordinary conversation.
I need to go ahead and get that.
Throw you in
I'm real picky about what I wear. So
Definitely have to have mine picked out if my husband's still here, because he'll have me looking like Mr. Brown.
Oh Lord.
Because he'll have me all this back.
And you're like, this is not me.
Yeah, so I'm like, Jeff, this is what I'm going to be in right here.
Well, my mother-in-law had a
trust my
specific.
husband either.
She had a blue suit she wore to all the weddings, and she said, "And I'll be buried in it." And she was buried in it.
Yeah, just to be able to openly talk about it. You know, people struggle when you start talking about death. If they, you know, if they're a spiritual person and they know that they haven't, you know, gotten their spiritual life in line and those things, you know, they'll avoid it. So I know y'all probably are able to know immediately with people who, you know, are still struggling with things on this side of life versus, you know, where they're going to go. So y'all even work in that aspect, you know.
It's a ministry. It really is.
It is. You say in a
you know,
ministry, it hit the nail on the head.
it's a true ministry with all disciplines. But being a CNA, I mean, I take my hat off to you guys, because I'm that is amazing.
And I started out as a CNA. We just talked about it the other day.
I did it for one day. Does that count?
Yeah. When I decided that I wanted to
I don't know
be
how
a
I did it
nurse,
one day, but I did it.
that's where I started, was as a CNA, and it was not a long tenure, because I had an experience that I wasn't ready or prepared for, and I was 17. But I think starting as an aide before you jump into nursing is 100% a good idea.
The best.
And this is my husband, he'll tell me, you know, like, you've been doing this forever, why don't you do nursing? I said, well, it's not my calling.
And I can say
I said, it's not my calling, that is not what I want. You know,
You
I'm
could just
doing.
spend way more time
you
with
get to
people.
spend quality
And
time.
that's what I
with
told
them.
him, I'm doing what I love to do. He said, you've been doing this forever. I'm like, hey, and I leave out of here doing it, because it's what I love to do. It's a calling. It's just like a ministry to me. I love taking care of them, you know, and some of them right now, they, you know, you go to them and they, you know, they already going through it almost at the end, and they be like, you know, why do I do, the Lord just let me lay here and go through this, and I'm just ready to go. And I said, you know what, honey, the Lord loves you. And I said, but none of us is going anywhere until He says it's time. He can have us hanging on.
There's
forever.
a reason you're here.
Yes.
Until you learn what the reason is, you are not going to move on. And I had a preacher I'll never forget when I was much younger tell me, because I was in a position, and I was like, I think it's time for me to move on. But no doors were opening. And he said, because you're supposed to be here. Stay where you're supposed to be. Quit fighting it. And once it's not your time, those doors will open. And I believe that 100%.
My sister won the last one that passed, she went for about, let's see, 6 to 8 weeks without eating. And they were like,
How?
and the nurse, they like, and we like, God, it's God. She was there. The only thing they can get down was the medicine. No food or anything for almost 2 months. And she hung on, and we was like, she's hanging on for something, you know, and all the kids was there. The kids was there, and you know, but then when that day finally came, you know, she still was fighting. She was fighting, and you know, her kids, my sisters, and we got right in the ear, you know, it's okay. It's okay. You can let go. It's okay.
That'll be me.
It's okay. And we was
That'll be me.
because she fought.
You're hanging on for that deck to be built out
Yeah,
back.
that'll be me, and I'll still be trying to bark orders and
Oh,
to you.
Lord,
That'll be
poor
me.
Eric, poor
I know.
Eric.
And like the dignity part is something that, you know, nurses, we come in and we're looking at all of the things of, you know, getting somebody treated, especially like in the hospital and things like that. You know, if you've ever been in an emergency situation or, you know, something has happened, nurses aren't looking, yes, they always try to, you know, help somebody with their dignity, but they are on a mission to come in and get somebody fixed or, you know, taken care of. And with you guys, that part of keeping somebody's dignity, because that's the last thing that anybody wants to give up, and it's the hardest thing to give up. You guys are the ones that
Keep it
deal
for
with,
them.
you know, how we're gonna transition through that and still help them feel like they're keeping it.
Yes.
So, I mean, knowing, you know, that you know what people are going through firsthand, being right there and not skipping that step, going, you know, and people do it all the time, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it will make you a more special nurse when you can.
Your jewels
look
and your
at the whole-
crown will be rewarded. Is
Oh,
the way I
yes.
look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God will be. When you get to those pearly gates, He'll be going check,
Believe
check,
it.
check. Look what an amazing job
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I
100%.
have been going through a battle with myself these last couple of years, with going through the RN program because of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
I've been hands-on since day one, and I love that. The relationships and everything, and just being able to be there. And I know as an RN I can still be there, but it's not as much bonding time. It's more of like a in and out type of thing, and I'm still having that.
Struggle.
Yeah.
But I'm
that's
going to
where
tell you,
pick-
it's
yeah.
going to make you a much better
Yeah.
nurse. And I'm not saying just because you're not a CNA and go into, but I will promise you, you have that compassion, that caring soul, and it'll carry on into your being
And
a
you'll
nurse.
find what fits, you know, even if it means coming back and being a hospice nurse, you will find something that fits, because you're not gonna pursue it and go through it and be successful to come out on the other side if you weren't supposed to. So, you know,
God's plan.
you will find what fits and where you get to still have your cup filled in that aspect, because there was a long time that I never thought that I would step away from nursing. And it's weird because every nurse you talk to, we all have a specialty. There's not any nurse that just says, oh, I'm just a nurse. I just, you know, like being a nurse. There's always something that draws somebody to what they do. And mine has changed several times. You know, when I first started out, I just bound and determined I was going to be in the OR. That's what I wanted to do. That's what made me happy. I was in the OR for 2 months, and it was the worst 2 months ever. Like, it was not my cup of tea, and I was bound and determined that's what I wanted to do. And then I lived in wound care for 7 years, and I loved it. Every bit of it, loved it. And then I got in management and completely came out of facilities and all of that, and ended up doing like office stuff, and it was okay. I was happy with it because of the schedule. You know, like, I got to leave right at 5 o'clock. I had no responsibilities when I left. It was all great. And then I ended up in this role, and the education part for me and the part of getting to sit down with families and have those conversations, like, it's the best thing I've ever done. And I would have never thought that I would have left any of the other things. So.
Well, we do have coming up next week, it is Social Worker Appreciation Month, and we do appreciate all our social workers out there in the community. But we will be having a luncheon March 20th at 1 p.m. at St. Mike's Conference Room A. So if you know a social worker, please invite them. We would love to have them. Our guest speaker will be Dr. Jennifer Davis from Texas A&M. And of course, the sponsors are Encompass Rehab, Post-Acute, Retreat Healthcare Services, Southern Caregivers, and the Villa. So we just want to show the love to our social workers next Wednesday, but every day. But also this month, I don't know if you ladies knew this, but this is Women's Month.
Yeah, I've been seeing that on
You
Facebook.
know, that's very important because we do a lot as women. Probably not me as much because my husband cooks. Anyway, I mean, I try. But just think about the amazing women in this company and all the things that we do. So hats off to all the women. I think this started back in 1977 by the United Nations. So it actually was celebrated on March 8th, so we're a little bit behind, but the whole month. Celebrate us.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
need to send that memo to the people at my house.
It's not Mother's Day. It's
Well, I'm the only woman in my house, so
Wow.
I get to write with that. But we have Easter coming up at the end of the month,
Yes.
so
Oh, and this weekend, St. Patrick's Day.
is it
Sa-
this weekend?
Sunday,
Oh my
the
gosh.
17th. Isn't it 17th? Yeah, 17th. So, you know, you can't be pinching people to work. It's Monday. It will not be St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Don't go to church pinching people that don't have green on. I'm just saying, not a good thing.
And I hope all
Right.
of y'all are adjusting better to the time change than I
She's
have
on the
been
struggle
doing,
bus.
because it has hit
She comes in,
hard.
I'm like,
I haven't even changed my clock in the car, so
I
like,
I haven't
do that
either.
either. And I went to
I'm
somebody's house.
like,
I
I
haven't done that
changed
either.
mine.
I had to because I went somewhere and I wasn't supposed to. I was like, oh, I'm wrong time.
Well, I normally keep my phone like in the a little charger,
Holster.
magnetic charger thing. So I normally look at it instead of that. But it will ruin your day to look down and think.
Well,
advance.
in my house, my husband does it the night before. So I'm in the kitchen going, no, it's not that time. Is it really? What happened? And he goes,
I'll go by fast.
It's
It
the
does.
confusion for me of waking up on that Sunday morning when your phone says one thing, and so you're like rocking on with that, and then I walk through my house and there's the time on the microwave, and
That's
the
why he
oven
changes
and the
everything the
coffee
night
pot,
before.
and I'm all like,
what the
oh,
heck?
yeah. I can't even lie. Everybody in my house slept till 11 o'clock Sunday,
Wow.
but yeah.
They needed it.
They remember their clocks. They did. They started pouring in.
There was a church I heard on the news or something that when people walked in late, they started singing, "You're late." You're late.
That's a
And
good
I was
one.
like, that's good.
Yeah.
You didn't change your clock.
Yeah,
But-
not everybody was.
That's good.
Not everybody was.
Prepared.
No.
Well, at one time it had passed that it was going to stay this way.
That's what I thought.
But apparently somebody out there somewhere, whoever you are, decided to not do it that way. I get used to it, and I'd be darned if they don't give me that hour back. I'm like, okay, and then they take it away again.
I mean, I enjoy having the longer days.
Days, yes.
But it just still is not cool. I feel very
just messed
cheated
up.
when you take the hour
I do
away
too.
from me.
Especially
at
that first
time.
Monday, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah, I feel very
You feel
cheated
it.
on
whoa.
that. If you would
I
just
try to go to
leave it
bed
be.
early the night before, so
Mhm.
it doesn't work. I'm
Leave
like
it be.
still up looking at TikTok. Okay.
And that's the problem is I have just kept on rocking on and not
Well-
caught my hour back up.
Have you heard that they're going to close TikTok down?
Well, I was just fixing to
Yeah,
say
I
that.
said
So they
What
said
the heck?
they voted to ban, but it still has to go through a whole
Oh,
lot
another
of
process.
things.
Okay.
Basically because they're saying that
China.
China they're scared that your information, like when you're buying stuff off of TikTok Shop and things like that, your information is being
Yeah.
shared. But at this point in time,
Where is our
we really
information
don't
not
know
being
where
shared?
all your information is shared.
Exactly. There's too many hackers out there in
Well,
the United States that probably already
There
hacked
was
us.
an app not long ago that everybody was downloading because it did something to your pictures, like it was
Oh yeah, I remember
you
that.
know,
Yeah.
and so they
And
were
they were saying that had got
Mhm.
hacked or whatever.
like the people that signed
People
up.
have
everybody
way
was-
too much time on their hands to be able to do all this.
Well, it can go way more than social media because my dad brought me a piece of mail that had my maiden name on it, and he was like, "I got this for you," and it was at their address, and so I opened it up, and I was a waitress when I was 16 at a restaurant. It was from that restaurant. I was like, "Oh, did I have a check that nobody paid me for?" I got real excited.
I bet it
No.
wasn't that.
No, their system had been breached, so all of these
Your data
employees'
information
data
got-
was shared.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
holy crap! That who would have thought you still would have had that from? We ain't sharing how long ago that was, but yeah, that's a long time to be holding on to a previous employee's information, but
You would think they'd purge it after a couple of years and
Yeah.
say, done, she's not coming back.
so you don't, I mean, you don't ever know.
That is true,
I-
that is true.
I think we do probably spend way more time on TikTok than what.
It's
it
become
should.
addicting, I'm not gonna lie.
I use it like
my husband
Google
both
now.
will be sitting there just.
Yeah, I
And
use it
there's
like
some funny
Google.
stuff, we send TikToks all the time to each other, I'm like, does this remind you of anybody? Not me.
Yeah.
My husband will send them to me as well. Some of his, I don't understand why he's sending them to me.
It's so funny. I love
And
it.
I never got on it until the little ice storm in 2000 when we had the like heavy snow. So it was like 2 weeks of the snow being on the ground, and my job had basically told us to sit where we
Of course, they go
were.
home. Yeah.
And I ended up on TikTok then, and it just has been a whole
Spiraling down.
spiral down since then.
Well,
It has.
ladies, I'm telling you, it was a privilege and honor to have both of you on here
Thank
today.
you.
And what an amazing, I didn't ask, how long have you been with Retreat?
Well, this time
Okay.
around, the first time, when he first opened. When
Yeah.
He just opened when he had the the assisted
AL,
living. He had just opened that, and I was over there for almost a year.
Uh-huh.
But then I had left and was gone. I think my anniversary popped up when I started here, so
Mhm.
I'm just going into about 9 months now.
Okay, okay. And Mahogany?
About a year.
Okay.
So I'm back on my old stomping ground.
There you go, there you go. It's a great company to work for. We do have some openings.
Mhm.
We have a CNA day and night shift on the unit. I don't know if we have any in the, do y'all?
I think that
In the
that
field?
position was filled.
Okay.
But you have worked on the unit, so
Mhm.
so you can
So-
say it's not a bad.
It's not. It's not.
Very pretty home-like setting.
Nice setting it is.
It is. It's very
But you know, I wanted the
peaceful.
feel when I applied, so I'm where I want to be.
You like to go and be all those
do.
people.
Yes.
Well, maybe
I
if
love
you're
that.
just trying to ease into hospice and
Yes,
see if
that'd
that's
be good.
something
It
that
would
you
not shock you as
Mhm.
much.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
slow process because hospice is not for everyone. That
It's
is the
not,
God
it's
honest
not,
truth
it's
to work
not.
in
You
it.
gotta, yes, cause it's,
So
Some
it
people
takes a
can't.
very strong,
it really does.
dedicated, yeah. Because some of the things that I've witnessed and seen can break your heart.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
absolutely break
yes,
your heart.
yes, yes, it can.
But we will not keep you on any longer. Thank you again. You're amazing.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
So we'll say goodbye on this
Bye.
Wellness Wednesday. And hopefully they'll join us again and won't avoid us. We weren't that bad, were we?
No.
Choose excellence in healthcare. Choose Retreat Healthcare Services.